Hey, welcome everyone to Nerds Night Out. I'm Tom Tormey, and I'm blessed tonight to be joined by Brent Sands from Impound Comics. Uh, if you're not following on Impound Comics across social media, one of the things that I absolutely love about Impound Comics is that no matter what social media you're following them on, whether it's on TikTok, whether it's on YouTube, Instagram, whether you're going to their brick and mortar stores in Sacramento, everything Brent touches, everything is special and unique and has its own amazing feel to it. The comics, of course, and that's where we're gonna do. So, Brent, how are you tonight? How you doing?
I'm good, brother. How are you?
I'm great, man. I've been following you for a while. I read Impound issue one when you had first put it out, and I absolutely fell in love with it. Um, and I love the different angles you're taking with it, with Impound as the father figure, but also as the MMA fighter and the superhero. What inspired you to create a book like that?
In the sense of like his character or his being, um, Sacramento has a big MMA culture that's underappreciated within its own city. We've had world champions, and it kind of doesn't feel promoted enough or celebrated enough. So that's what made me want to make him an MMA fighter. Um, the father aspect, it was either I was gonna make him a father or a son. You know what I mean? One or the other. And I just think I thought it was
Right.
important for father representation, or showing that single fathers do exist type of idea. So I think that that was a different approach, especially in the space of minorities. And a lot of little pieces from just my own experience, my own life within in Sacramento. Just I just picked at things that I liked and made it come together.
That that is important. You don't see a lot of single fathers really represented in the comic books. So it's a cool angle that you went with there. The art is amazing, but from Impound, you've expanded to several other comics throughout uh, your universe. What are
Yeah,
you referring to your collective universe as? Is it
yeah,
the Impound universe with Impound at its core?
yeah, absolutely. So it's I thought about maybe naming it something else, but I just decided not to. It wasn't only about him at first, and then I just kept it that way, even though we started expanding because I felt like it worked. That's what Naruto did. The universe is named after the character, so I just decided to do it like that. My main focus was getting the word impound as um, heard as possible. So I decided to
Right.
name the brand after the character.
And you nailed it. I mean, you have Impound, Blasted, Seraph, you have Superhero Daycare, which I have to admit I haven't read yet, but absolutely am enthralled by the title alone. I'm desperate to know what that is about. Lady Monarchy, Decimus. You have Elena. You have so many books out, all within the Impound universe. How did it go from that one book to all these other connected stories within the Impound universe?
Being bored, just waiting on a book to be finished. Really, like a book take a long time. So,
Yeah.
so you're sitting there working on one book. You already wrote it. I already wrote the book, and I'm waiting 6 months, 5 months, however long for an illustrator to illustrate it. I wrote something else and found another illustrator to put that one together. So it was really just the time in between. I don't like having time. You know what I mean? Like just feeling like it was
No, it
wasted. So
shows.
yeah, so that's really what made me want to do another character. Then I did another character, and then it turned into kind of like the MCU's approach in book form, where I just wanted to tell all these different characters, individual stories until they came together. So it organically happened. It wasn't the plan out the gate.
Right.
Again, it was more supposed to be impounds Harry Potter, and it's the Harry Potter story, and that's it. But having idle time made me expand more on other characters.
At what point did you decide to go with the interconnected universe? So
Very
impounds in the can, impounds print, and was the plan initially to go with this interconnected universe, or as you said, like it came about organically?
um, it became a plan early on, definitely early on. But I had Seraph 1 and Decimus 1 out before Impound 2 was out. So from
Okay.
the outside looking in, it looked like it was always the plan, but it was really just the Impound books have more pages usually than the other books. So I could get 2 books done waiting on one Impound book in the same amount of time. So that's when it became a thing. And then, you know, Seraph became a character. That was my second book, was Seraph 1. And that was just because in the Impound book, people had questions about him. And then, so like I said,
Mhm.
waiting, I was like, well, let me answer those questions. So that's how that really happened.
Which came first for you? Was it I mean, in terms of your own background, in terms of the creative side or the business side? Because you're juggling two immensely uh difficult tasks. On one hand is the creative side, which is enough for any one person to handle, but you're also expanding dramatically on your business side. Everything from
Yeah.
brick and mortar stores to having conventions.
Yeah.
How do you handle what's your background with both, I guess?
The creative side, I guess, just comes natural. So I don't even look at that as a balance. It's not, that's just what I do. So
Right.
it's not something I look at as any harder than just breathing. I would be thinking of stories my entire life, writing stories, even if I didn't publish it. That's just a part of who I am. The marketing side came from years of club promoting and concert promoting. So in college, I started throwing events and parties, and that just kind of turned into helping me when I finally decided to do this. I had already was a decade in with promoting. So
Right.
it was two different just parts of who I was, that I was training for this moment that I didn't know at the time.
So you went from promoting the clubs to now essentially promoting your own creative side, creative aspects to
Exactly.
impound in the universe. Uh,
Hmm.
so that I guess that would have allowed you to have that experience to do what's coming next. You have a convention this week, but not just any convention. You have a
Hmm.
convention that you created.
Yeah, absolutely. So our
Uh,
convention is called Comic Verse, and this is our fifth one. So we do two in a year. One's always in February, and then one's in the summer. Um, but yeah, that gave me the skills to do these types of things. So
right.
it's also very simple for me. Um, Other than the fact of making time to actually promote, that's a whole nother thing
Mhm.
because it does take time. But I already knew how to do it way before I ever threw this convention. It just kind of was. I had to lean on what I know I can do and what I was good at, and promoting was that.
And what kind of talent are you attracting to the convention?
So this one's we have 5 voice actors from Naruto. So every single one is a different theme. So this one's Naruto themed. The last one was Dragon Ball Z themed. We did the last Airbender before, one for Power Rangers before. So every time we just try to find a new, different, established universe, book some of their people, and those are the guests, and then we theme it around us and around them. You know what I mean? Like I make the impound
Sure.
characters the face of the flyers and things like that. But then these are the guests that we're bringing. So it's a separate business, but it's also pushing the needle of what we're doing.
And you're certainly doing that as well on the YouTube channel, and it's definitely apparent the anime influence on Impound because you have an anime series on the channel starring uh, your character, starring Impound. Uh,
Mhm.
I mean, how in the world? I mean, you're how in the world are you handling all this? There's only so many hours in a day, man. Where are you
Yeah.
finding the time to do all this?
Well, it's not so much on time as it is of just getting the revenue to be able to do it because I already wrote the story. So I'm
Right.
not doing anything else besides handing it to someone to bring it to life. You know what I mean? Like the writing part, for the most part, has been done for years. So I'm not even really
Gotcha.
writing anymore. You know what I mean? I like when I may adjust things, but I know the impound story like the back of my hand. I know all of my characters. You know what
Mhm.
I'm saying? So it took me 2 years to develop their characters, most of them. So the writing part It's just not a part of my daily. That's just not thing. My thing is getting it to the people to help me bring it to life and promote it. So promoting is my day to day. You know what I mean? So
Right.
but I think people think I spend more time writing, and it's like, man, I've been done writing. At least for this phase that's gonna take years to bring it out to the world. You know what I mean? So I have time on that front where, man, it's probably going to take me 5 more years to get this whole entire thing out to the public, and I wrote it 2 years ago. You know what I mean?
Gotcha.
Mm-hmm.
So,
So it's
so
just like
you've
it's
got
just
the
like here's the
comics.
script. Yeah, it's like here's the script. Draw this, and then I'm done. Other than checking the work and paying them, you know what I mean?
Right, right. I mean, listen,
Mm-hmm.
your writing is very organic. I actually really like the writing. So it's amazing to hear how naturally it happened for you. I mean, you really do have a gift.
Thank
Because
you.
the characters are phenomenal. The storyline's engaging. You've got the comic out. You've got an anime out. And I'm going to guess with your uh ability to keep pushing the product that you must have something else in mind. Is there a place that you would like to see Impound go from here?
Well, right now my mission is a full, like, the animation on YouTube are shorts, like 7 minute episodes. Right now I'm working on getting a full animated movie. So that's the only thing I've been thinking about the last few weeks, is getting the funds to complete this, because one of the things in my journey that helped me a lot is I was blessed with a really great illustrator early on who's actually a part of our brand. So my illustrator, well, I have several, but there's one that's in more in the family than the others are.
Okay.
And he drew half of my books, and he also animates. So that's how I was able to get an animation. Is my illustrator is an animator as well. So him also looking at the Impound brand as his future. You know what I mean? He does stuff that I can afford to get it done. So like I said, a big part of it is being blessed with him, Vash. His name is Vash A. To being a part of the team early on.
And I've noticed that the books do have and I'm gonna have to go back to superhero daycare for 1 second because
So
I've seen images. I haven't had a chance. I do like on your YouTube channel how you have the not just the anime, but you almost have like almost audio books where
mhm.
you take in the books and you're reading them. That I mean, it is the goal to make the books more accessible via the YouTube channel.
I just don't look at every dollar as like you have to penny squeeze every dollar out of everything. I'm a firm believer in notoriety and exposure is more valuable than money. So I don't really
Mhm.
care. Comic book collectors are going to be comic book collectors. That's not most of that's not even 10% of consumers, though. You know what I mean? So the people who see value in collecting comics are going to see it, whether there's an audio book or not. For the rest of
Right.
the world who doesn't read comic books, I still need them to know these characters exist. So I don't, there's so many kids who just can't afford to buy books or don't, you know what I mean? They just,
Mhm.
it's just not their thing. So the audio books is there for everybody else. Me personally, that was me. So that's why I did that. I'm not sitting down, cramming out the whole Spider-Man series from beginning to end in book form. But if you explain it to me, I'll listen. You know what I mean? So I think that being the kind of consumer that I was, I'm conscious that most people are probably like that. And I
No,
found that on
you definitely see.
TikTok.
Yeah.
You
I'm
know,
sorry.
on
You
Tik
what?
I found that out on TikTok as well, and that's when we started growing. When I just started telling people, this is the story, this is what he is, this is what he is. That's when I started seeing my growth.
Yeah.
So, trying
Oh,
to hide
with
the
your
whole.
you do these amazing character profiles on TikTok.
Mhm.
I,
Yeah, and it was like I felt like when I was hiding the story, trying to not spoil it, we were moving a lot slower than when I'm just like, man, this is the character. This is
right.
who he is. This is what he does. And when videos go viral or videos do well, your sales do better. Like people will listen and double back on buying it. You know what I mean? So I
Yeah.
got
Sure.
over
Sure.
the I got over the thinking I can't spoil stuff part. Now, of course, if it comes to like we get in a movie or a show, then we'll keep that more under wraps. But um, knowing just who Impound is the most important thing in my mind.
Yeah, I'm not one of those people where like if I know the ending of something, it takes away from a film. And 9 times out of 10, when I know the ending, I'm like, oh, you know what? I want to know. I want to watch the journey now. I know how
Yeah,
it ends. I might know how it begins, but it's the journey that I really want to get invested in. So I could see your point about the concept of not really spoiling it per se, but sometimes people will post splash panels from the last page of a book, and I'm like, oh my god, now I really want to read that book. I want to know what led to that moment. So I
yeah.
get that, and I'm sure it increases engagement as well and interest. Uh, uh, what is the goal? Is there a goal? I mean, other than accessibility to it and marketing, is there a goal for the Impound universe? If you were telling someone what you wanted to accomplish with it, what would
Mhm.
that be?
I mean, to be Walt Disney, the top of entertainment. That is the goal. That is, what we are, and that's what we're doing it for. Comic books is just how I got into the world. Impound is our Mickey Mouse. That's it.
Gotcha.
In the sense of like, we're gonna be releasing scary movies and all type of things that are outside of the comic genre. Just Impound to me, Impound Studios is what the goal is, and we're just an entertainment company in general. And
Right.
the comic aspect is just the a part of our brand. So yeah, all the
Right.
way up is the goal.
I saw an interview that you had conducted in which you had mentioned Black Panther being an inspiration for you, the film at least, the Black Panther, the film, being an inspiration for you to get into this world. And what I love about your books, and I tell people all the time, is that uh, a lot of the characters that we know, love, celebrate, from Superman, Batman, Spider-Man, keep going on and on. They were created at a time where America was a very divided nation, and people were drinking from separate water fountains. Now we live in a different time period, and Impound speaks to uh, a very marginalized, or had been a marginalized section of the population in the comic book industry, in the entertainment industry. And you are, and I do celebrate this, and I tell people, Impound Comics uh, is diversity done well.
Yeah.
Sometimes, have you come across instances in entertainment where you said to yourself, that's not the right way to do. That's not the right way to present a story or the background of a character, whatever it may be.
Um, I wouldn't say as much in more recent times.
Mhm.
I think I mean I'm not with so much the end of just changing a character's race so much. I think that that's lazy. Um, but the characters that I at least grew up with that were minorities, I felt were done really well. But because I looked at like Static Shock, who those guys at Milestone was kind of like the first generation of what we're
Oh
doing.
yeah,
So even like
I
when
mean
you
Dwayne
talk
Dwayne
about,
McDuffie.
Mhm.
Oh, sorry, but when you talk about Milestone and Static, and you have to, in that same breath as Dwayne McDuffie, probably one of the greatest comic book writers
Yeah,
uh, ever.
yeah,
So I could see what you're talking about in that regard.
because it was like for me, at least when I was young, the first characters I was seeing, like I said, I think the first superhero I remember was Meteor Man. You know what I mean? And so that Meteor
Stuart
Man
Townsend. Wait,
movie,
Not Stuart Townsend.
Robert
Oh my
Townsend.
gosh, I'm thinking Robert Townsend. Stuart Townsend is
Yeah,
another actor. I'm getting him confused. Yeah,
yeah.
Robert Townsend,
So
yeah, Meteor Man.
so obviously that wasn't done necessarily right in the sense of budget, but it was done right with diversity or how because he
Right.
portrayed it. So, I don't have like a long list of like things that I thought were done incorrectly when it comes to minority characters because at least the things that I saw, they were done by us.
Hmm.
And then, but I'm not a fan of like all of a sudden just turning characters into a different race. I was for a while, I was when they first started doing it. because it was a point where we did need more representation, but now it kind of feels like pandering. It almost feels like, or it's lazy, because there's so many other characters
Okay.
like like mine, or like characters that are just under promoted within Marvel or DC that should just get their shine. So, you know, um, that's the only time it bothers me now, at least. Because I think definitely when you talk about like Disney, when they did Black Panther, they made sure to have the right people and put it in the right people's hands to do it the way it should be done. And that was
Yeah.
part of what
Ryan
inspired
Coogler did an
me.
amazing job.
Yeah. So
I'm sorry.
so no, I said yeah. So that's even though I know Stan Lee created it, Stan Lee did a good job with what he could do on
Mhm.
him not having the full knowledge on there. Just I think he did a lot of respecting at least the kind of culture he was trying to portray, and I think that that's just the only right way to do it. Is I do characters that aren't African American, and I try to do homework on that culture before I just try to slap something together and call it this. You know what I mean? So that would be
Right,
the
right.
wrong way to do. The wrong way to do it was to be to act like and not be a student of it first.
That's fair. That's fair. Definitely doing your research, putting in the time, knowing the culture, knowing the background. Uh, and as you mentioned, in like Stan Lee's case, in the case that you mentioned, where you're writing characters that are different genders, different race, different ethnicity, possibly religion. Uh, there's a so what you do right in terms of representation, in terms of diversity, how would you qualify that versus what you think in this case, like you had mentioned the lazy writing of sometimes just race swapping or gender swapping just for the sake of pandering? What
Yeah.
how do you do it right?
I do my homework, you know what I mean? So I make sure, I don't try to just act like I know certain things if I don't. I have an entire culture, entire culture, excuse me, entire character who's Mayan, and my knowledge of that Mayan culture was very limited. So I had to sit down and read mythology and figure some things out, symbols, places, wars, things like that. So I take out the time to do that, but I also enjoy doing that. So it doesn't
Right.
feel like work. I'm very
Yeah, it's
into,
not a chore. It's cool.
yeah, you know what I mean? It's actually something I actually like doing. My favorite genre, isn't comics. People usually think that that is. My favorite genre has always been ancient war, so ancient mythologies. So when we talk about like, Troy and the Greeks and the Romans and the
Sure.
Egyptians, that's always been my favorite genre. So learning about the Mayans was just another addition to the love of that, you know what I mean, ancient time periods and societies. So I take a lot of that and I instill that in my characters, even if it's not blatantly obvious. My characters like Decimus, their whole identity is if ancient Egypt and ancient Rome was in outer space. You know what I mean? So things like that,
No, it's a good
things like
hook.
that.
I enjoy those things myself. Have you considered doing a period story connected
Yeah, I
within
already
the
have one.
impound unit? Oh,
Yeah, it's not done, but I started it when I was writing the first impound, and then I lost track of the illustrator. So I have a few pages done, but I need to do another one. And yeah, I have a story about the ancient Moors. The ancient Moors were probably the most underappreciated African society, and they are. There's a whole thing on Gibraltar. The Rock of Gibraltar is named
mhm.
after an African general, and a lot of people don't know that. So on the story of him, who his name translates into to Gibraltar, you know what I mean, in the Y. So I've had that story in the chamber for over a decade. That's the one that's going to be a $200 million budget to do the movie, right? You know what I mean? But
Damn right.
yeah, that was always a. But I'm going to make it a comic book at some point. I kind of lost track of that one, but it's still a goal.
Have you gotten to the point now where the impetus of the story is in your mind and you can pass it off to someone, or are you still handling the day-to-day
I don't think
storytelling?
I'll. I don't think I'll ever pass it on. At least not no time soon. I feel like I don't have that many characters that I need to do that. You know what I mean? So we're talking Marvel, 70,000 characters. We're not, I'm for the most part, I'm sticking with the characters I have right now. So I just don't really feel like it's that hard of a chore right now to
Gotcha.
do that. Um, I feel like I'm more like the J.K. Rowling approach with Harry Potter. It's just like, I got it, you guys.
Right.
At least for a while. I'm not against people giving ideas and things like that, but it's going to be a long time before somebody else writes a published Impound book.
Gotcha. Gotcha. And how now you have two brick and mortar stores, correct?
I had
Two
to. I have one
impound.
now.
Oh, okay, and that's located in Sacramento.
Yeah. So yeah, I had two. I had a second one that was just a year pop up, but that one wasn't the Impound store.
Mhm.
Technically, it was like it was called Antihero. It was just a general toy store, but obviously the Impound brand was the influence of it. But the Impound comic store itself is downtown Sacramento. It's right in front of the Kings Arena.
Oh, nice.
Mhm.
Great
Very
spot.
prominent area. Yeah, yeah. So
Yeah, yeah, a lot of traffic.
that was their idea, So we're in a way like sponsored by the Kings, I guess you could say. But it was just the idea of Sacramento's first superhero, putting him next to the Sacramento Kings was the idea initially.
Pretty damn cool.
Yeah, it was
A
definitely
lot of foot traffic in that area.
it was definitely a business booster. It was definitely okay, a hobby is now going to become a business type of thing.
Right, right. So
Mhm.
you're now looking at I'm picturing, yeah, you have to forgive me. Black Panther, I think the release date was probably 2018,
Mhm.
in and around then.
Mhm.
So in the 60-year time span, you've gone from an idea to this massive impound universe. If anyone out there was listening and had that idea in your head, is there any advice that you've learned along the way that you would impart on them?
Um, you got to get creative and you got to just do what you can do, what's manageable. There's no the unfortunate part is there's no blueprint to doing this. There's nothing I can follow and be like, oh, this is how you do it because, like you said, these other companies were built almost 100 years ago. You know what I mean?
Right.
So what worked for them is not going to probably work today. So you got to
Fair.
get creative, and you follow what's working. I don't think I ever thought of being a TikTok influencer when I started, but the opportunity showed that that's where we should pour our time into, so we do. So
Yeah.
it's the same as what I said with building your characters, but you got to be a student and willing to learn and try new things. Don't think you have the answers because that's when you'll fall. You know what I mean?
Sure, sure. And
Mm-hmm.
you mentioned TikTok. Well, how many followers are you at now? You keeping track of that? Because I think last
We're at
time
like
I
230,
yeah, all
230K.
right.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's impressive. It's
Thank
impressive.
you.
I mean, the characters are resonating. What you're saying, what you're putting out there is resonating. You're having great success. And the convention is this weekend. So the time of recording now is January 29th. So that would mean the convention is the third, February 3rd,
February 4th on the Sunday.
February 4th. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And where's the convention going to be held?
It's at a building called Scottish Rite Temple in Sacramento. So it's if you're in the area, it's next to Sac State, the college.
Okay. And there are there any plans for you to take Impound outside and around and uh hit different conventions, shows, or anything?
You talking about like a guy in a suit, or just me in
No, oh
general?
no, no. Damn, that would be cool. Are you doing that? Actually, I just
Yeah,
meant the comics themselves. Are you taking them around? But you know what? That opens, sweet
yeah,
Jesus.
yeah.
I
We
still
always,
remember when I was a kid going to Toys R Us and seeing He-Man, and
yeah, no.
I'll never
We
forget
have
it. Like,
a we have an impound suit, so we always have a guy that's in it at the convention. Yeah, I just went to Anime Impulse. It's I'm learning. I'd rather go as a spectator than a vendor, because when I go as a spectator, I make a lot of content for all of my social platforms, and
Right.
that reaches more people than standing at a booth all day just trying to flag people down. Yeah,
And you
my
know your stuff.
whole thing, yeah, my whole thing, this year is going to as many conventions as I can. I've already been
Very
to
cool.
two.
Which would you hit so far?
SAC Anime, which is our biggest convention in NorCal, and then I went
Okay.
to Anime Impulse in Sonoma, California, and SoCal.
So it's clear that you have a passion for anime. And are you finding that anime fans are also resonating with the characters?
Yeah, it's funny. I don't really like anime that well. I don't really care
Oh,
for
get
it too
out.
much. The anime audience and the comic audience are just similar enough that it would just make sense to promote to both. But I
Okay.
don't really watch too much anime, to be honest with you.
Oh, man.
Anime
Yeah.
anime is a bigger genre though.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
So you can't cut that out. That's pretty much what it is. But as far as anime, Dragon Ball Z and One Punch Man are the only things I ever watched. Dragon Ball Z is when I was a kid. One Punch Man was like last year. Everything else, I don't. It's just a great genre to go hand in hand with the comic genre.
No, understood. Smart. Good move. Good move.
Yeah.
Wow, that's awesome. I am so happy for you. Like I said, I think I checked out the first issue a while back of Impound, and I was raving about it. And I'm really glad that you took the time to talk to me, Brent. Your success is amazing, and it's amazing to see you grow and the characters and the universe expand. And for anyone out there who's listening, and if they want to find Impound Comics, uh, online, in person, what's the best way to do it?
ImpoundComics.com or just at Impound Comics on all social platforms. TikTok's our biggest, then Instagram, then YouTube.
Oh, yeah, and like I said, for anyone listening, anyone checking out the Impound Comics, all the socials are great, all entertaining. Brent is amazing, but I got to tell you, even though the YouTube channel to me, and I started by saying this, and I'll end by saying this. I love how all your socials are so radically different. People like me, I reuse content, uh, but you create something original and interesting on each of the accounts. So it makes each one feel like its own special destination. So again, that's probably not just your creative side, but your ability to market. You got it going on, man. You're doing a great job.
Thank you. Appreciate you, brother.
No problem. And Brent, thank you very much for joining Nerds Night Out tonight. I had a great time talking to you, and I hope we're all going to keep following and being a major part of your success. And can't wait to see. It's been 6 years. I can't wait to see what another 6 years brings for the Impound Universe.
Me too, brother. We're gonna see it together.
That's awesome. Brent, thanks for your time. Everybody, thanks for checking out Nerds Night Out. I've been Tom Tormey. That's been Brent, and we had a great time. Hope to see you next time. Be well, everybody.